This is Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Reds lead the Western Division by 7 games. The whole town is gaga about Lou Piniella's Reds. And the Chicago Cubs are trying to cool them off. Every action, every thrilling play coming your way in a moment. Hello again, everybody, with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman and Harry Carey at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Steve, they forget it's only May. They're thinking ahead to the playoffs here in Cincinnati. I want to remind them a 7-game lead in May is not a 7-game lead in September.
Harry, this team is great offensively. They're hitting .299, but the good news, Mariano Duncan hitting .400 is not playing. He's serving a 1-game suspension. So maybe Maddux can get number 5 tonight.
Well, Ron Oster, though, always has been a fine second baseman. I imagine he's chafing at the bit and not having an opportunity to play more. All right, we'll have the starting lineups for you in a moment. Hello again, everybody, with Steve Stone and Harry Carey. We're ready to play baseball. Here are the lineups. For the Cubs, Walton in center. Sandberg at second. Grace at first. Dawson in right. Smith in left. Wilkerson at third. Dunston shortstop. Girardi catching. And Greg Maddux goes for his 5th victory of the year. He has lost 1. His earned run average a brilliant 1.96. For the Reds, Sabo at third. Whittingham in center. Larkin at short. Bensinger at first. O'Neill in right. Hatcher in left. Oster at second. Oliver, the catcher, and 22-year-old Scott Scudder, who's won 1, lost none, and a very impressive earned run average of 1.23. The umpires are Mark Hirschbeck behind the plate, John McSherry at first, Charlie Williams at second, Bob Davidson at third, and we're ready to play ball on a lovely, although cool evening here at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati.
There you look at the best defense to this point in the National League, the Cincinnati Reds.
Here's Jerome Walton hitting .309. Good fastball. Scudder, a big, good-looking right-hander. Good fastball. Good curve. Working on developing a good changeup. That evens it up, the ball into strength. They have won 19 out of the 25 games they've played. Their record is 19-6. Ball, there's his curveball, low and outside.
Scudder was the Reds' #1 draft choice in June of 1986 out of Prairie Land High School in Pattonville, Texas.
2 balls and the strike. Fouled out of play into the stand. Well, I heard they're going to have a sellout. As a matter of fact, we're warned about asking for tickets. Look at the empty seats. Somebody must have the wrong information.
There's a few people going to miss this one tonight.
Maybe they're talking about September having it all. 2-2 pitch. Fouled it back. Jerome Walton hanging in there.
Scudder got off to a terrible start in spring training, so bad that they sent him down to AAA at Nashville. He was 3-1 with the Sounds. The ERA .229, called back and pitched against the Cardinals, where he went 7 1/3 innings and beat him 5-1.
2-2 pitch. Line foul again in the right field corner. That proves he's pretty fast. Jerome Walton has hit everything towards right field. 2-2 the count. Smash right field base hit. Scudder need not worry about a no-hitter. Jerome Walton leads off the ball game with a single to right.
Here's where the Cubs have to be careful, because Joe Oliver is slowly becoming just about the best throwing catcher in the National League. In fact, he's gunned down 13 of the 24 runners trying to steal. That pencils out to 54%. He's picked a man off first base at 54%, well above the league average, which was right around 37%.
Here now is Ryne Sandberg going for his 117th straight errorless game. Throw over, he's back. Boy, this, you know, the Cubs have a lot of stolen bases, and so have these Reds. They've swiped 45 out of 56 attempts. There's a drive, way back. It might be near the wall. Oh, what a, it's over, a home run. A home run. Hey, Ryne Sandberg, as the left fielder, Mickey Hatcher, went up, looked up, and he wondered whether he had caught the ball, and he missed first base. He returned and tagged the bag before proceeding into his home run trot. That's a 5th home run of the year, and just like that, the Cubs are out in front, 2-0.
I think Ryne Sandberg thought that Billy Hatcher had made the catch. In fact, he didn't touch the bag. And that's going to send Stan Williams out to the mound. Let's take a look at it once again. Ryne Sandberg, RBIs number 16 and 17. Now he's looking at Billy Hatcher.
Now watch him. He looks again right there. And Hatcher gets the Academy Award. It looked like he was going to catch the ball, but it's over. You knew it when you saw the bounce. Two to nothing, and here's Mark Grace. The 5th home run of the year for Sandberg. And that's his 17th RBI. And that's a 2nd home run in his last 2 times at bat. Again, for Sandberg. Remember, he broke up a 0-0 tie with the home run and the rain abbreviated victory for the Cubs over Atlanta. He hit a homer with a man on. This is next time up. He hits another homer with a man on. Foul back.
One thing that Scudder had a problem with last year when he came up briefly was that he couldn't get much over the plate. He averaged just about 6 walks per 9 innings. So despite the fact that he's got a good arm, he had trouble throwing strikes.
Here's a pitch foul out of play. The Reds, a fine organization. Brad Del Barba, who's the coordinator of minor leagues and scouting, wants to wish quick recovery to our good friend Jose Cardenal, who works in their farm system. Former Cub. Cardenal suffered a fractured skull during spring training, and he's watching tonight's game back in Chicago. And not only do the Reds wish him well, but so do we. And the Cubs. There's a high pop fly. Hatcher's there. Makes the count.
Cubs had success against the Reds last year. They were 7-5 overall in the 12 games they played. But their success came, strangely enough, in this ballpark. For only the 2nd time since they went to divisional play, the Cubs beat the Reds 5 of 6 times here in Riverfront. So they dominated them in their home park.
1 out, 2-0 Cubs. Sandberg, a 2-run homer. Here's Andre Dawson hitting .322. 1 ball, no strikes. Luis Quinones of the Reds wants to be remembered to all the home folks in Puerto Rico, as does their coach, Tony Perez. There's a drive, way back. It might be. It is another home run. Holy cow. Dawson's 8th of the year. 3-0 in favor of the Cubs.
RBI number 24, and with that home run, Andre Dawson moves to 5th on the all-time opponent home run list in this ballpark. Johnny Bench heads that list, but Andre, with 19 home runs here in Cincinnati, loves to hit in this park.
In case you hear a roar, as you did when Sandberg hit one, and now when Dawson, the Wild Bunch, the Cubs fan club, headed by Wayne Hall, they're here about 60 members for this 3-game series. Here now, Dwight Smith. And there's Andre Dawson in the dugout being congratulated.
Looked like a couple of high fastballs, resulting in 2 home runs.
Fastball low. 2 balls, no strike. Cubs trying to reach the 500 mark. Inspired by playing the best team in the National League in standings and in percentage. 3 balls, no strikes. He walked the ball 4. That brings up Curtis Wilkerson.
It's going to send the bullpen to work for Cincinnati. Lou Piniella, not used to seeing any of his pitchers depart early, has Tim Burtsis up and throwing, the king-size left-hander acquired from the Oakland A's. And we'll take a look at Andre Dawson, loving that high fastball.
Wow.
A line drive rocket over the head of Billy Hatcher. He just looks up, and it's gone.
Would you say that Andre Dawson hits off his back foot or his front foot?
Looks to me like he hits off his back foot.
Yeah, well, that's why he gets so much power, I imagine.
He's so strong here. You know, most great hitters have the great, strong wrists and can pop the bat at the last instant like Billy Williams. Andre Dawson falls into that category. He is pretty quick inside.
Quick throw, he's back.
And now with the knees healthy, he's able to get some leverage. You know, last year he was really hurting. He couldn't push off. Right now he's pushing off as well as he ever had.
Curtis Wilkerson. Runner at first, 1 out. Throw over to first.
Wilkerson has been as hot as any of the Cubs with that batting average up at 370, a product of 8 for his last 15. He's provided a good bat from both sides of the plate for Don Zimmer.
Fouled out of play. You know, the Reds have swiped 45 bases. They've been thrown out only 11 times. The opponents against the Reds have stolen only 13 bases while being thrown out 15 times. Well, that's pretty impressive. Oh, and 1 the count. Inside. 1-1. Three nothing in favor of the Cubs. Sandberg and Dawson have homered. Again the throw. Sandberg's number 5th of the year, 17 RBIs. Dawson now 8 homers for the year, 24 RBIs. There's the Cub bench, and there's Dawson right there.
His pitching staff is 3rd in the league coming into this game with a 3.09 ERA. The reason why you're 19-16 is that opposing pitchers have a 4.75 ERA against the Cincinnati offense, which has just been dominating all year.
Hertz is big left-hander working in the bullpen.
A lot of people credit Lou Piniella with the turnaround this year. Different managing style than Pete Rose.
Fouled it back. Well, what they forget is the Cincinnati ball club the last 5 years has had outstanding talent. And many people thought they could have won a couple of times. They finished second, I believe. So they've had a lot of talent.
They were just decimated by injuries last year. This was a very talented team, and it all fell apart.
1 ball, 2 strikes. There goes the runner. There's the peg. In the center field, there goes Dwight Smith on his way to third. Well, there you go. You praise him in a certain department of the game, and right away, the Cubs steal a base, and Oliver makes a bad throw, gets an error, and Dwight Smith's the third.
4th stolen base of the year for Dwight Smith, and 2nd error of the year for Joe Oliver. This turns out to be an off-balance throw. He shifted his weight a little early. He came out over the right-handed batter's box, but the pitch was inside, drawing him actually away from the throw, and it was a terrible throw.
Now the infield comes in. All right, Curtis, get it over their heads. Foul tipped it. Myers took that one off the hand. Whoa. Whoa, he's hurt. And here comes the trainer out in a hurry.
Just one
Trainer
of
Larry Starr.
Just one of the many Cincinnati Reds homegrown ball players, Joe Oliver. And he's in tremendous pain. Lou Piniella coming out to have a look now. That's why most catchers have gone to the one-handed style of catching. We'll take another look at it.
Boy, he might. Oh, he's in pain. Oh, wow, look at that grimace.
This is a big, strong man at 6'3", 215 pounds. But when you get that throwing hand in the way of a foul tip, you don't have much protection. That's why guys like Randy Hundley were pioneers at the one-handed catching style, where you keep the throwing hand out of the way and catch the ball with the other hand.
He's in pain. He's not going to be able to continue. Reed, I think, may come down out of the bullpen. And Joe Oliver. One of the reasons Lou Piniella says that the Reds are off and running, the unexpectedly great showing of this youngster. Piniella, in contrast to Lou Piniella, the ball player, was a really hyper guy, intense. He kind of laid back as a manager. He just preaches have fun. Go out there, do the best you can, enjoy yourself, have fun. And maybe that's really paying off for him. I guess he could develop that at the Yankee Stadium, working for George Steinbrenner.
He's got a great situation here because he came to a loaded ball club that was a classic case of underachievement last year due to injuries. But there was no doubt that everybody who evaluated talent in the National League said the Cincinnati Reds ball club had as much, if not more, talent than anyone. But with everybody hurt, seemingly all within a month of one another, you can't do much. They lost Larkin, they lost Sabo, they lost O'Neill, they lost Davis, they lost Danny Jackson, lost Jose Rio. So this was a team that didn't have anybody to play the game. But now they're all healthy except for Davis, who's about 2 weeks away. And they're showing right now what everybody thought about their club. They can play. And Lou, the beneficiary of a great situation, coming in with a good attitude, and they respect him.
Well, you have to like him. He was an intense competitor as a ball player and a great hitter. And I imagine with Tony Perez and Lou Piniella, they have all the hitting instructors and the hitting coaches that they could possibly want.
Mariano Duncan credits Tony Perez with teaching him a lot about how to hit, and Chris Sabo said it was part Perez and part Piniella.
All right, the infield's in. Jeff Reed behind the plate. A bouncing ball. Here's a runner going to score. The throw to first in time. Boy, that was a contact. As soon as he touched the ball, Dwight Smith broke for the plate. And Oster made the stop, looked at home, knew he didn't have a play, and retired the batter. And Wilkerson gets his 6th run batted in.
On the artificial surface, it's very hard in front of home plate. And the key to this was recognizing the high hop. As soon as that ball went up in the air, there was no chance to get the fleet Dwight Smith.
So it's 4-0. And here's Sean Dunston. Low, ball one. Luis Quinones, another ex-Cub, wanting to be remembered, the home folks in Puerto Rico, along with Coach Tony Perez. Here they call it Perez, but somehow to me that doesn't sound right. Perez is Perez, P-E-R-E-Z. 1 ball, 1 strike. Curve outside.
Piniella wants to nurse Scudder through this first inning. He certainly does not want to get into that bullpen this early. They still have 2 games left in the series after tonight, and the last thing you want to do is tax the pen if you don't have to.
Now ready? The delivery. There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It could. It is. Another home run. Holy cow. And the Cub fans are having an early chance to how Scudder shakes his head. He cannot believe it. And that is Dunston. 6th home run of the year. And 17th run batted in. How about those potatoes? And here comes Lou Piniella. 5-0 Cubs. Holy cow.
Another high fastball, another towering home run. And in comes Tim Burtzis. A very short night for Scott Scudder. In fact, it's not even dark yet.
Well, you can see all your favorite Cubs. You see them all. Congratulating Sean Dunston. There's Luis Salazar, Domingo Ramos, Curtis Wilkerson. And we're going to have a change of pitchers. We'll tell you. There is Marvell Wynn. We'll have more to tell you about Burtzis following this message. Tim Burtzis, big 6'8" left-hander. Hey, listen, Steve. How often do we talk about the first inning on the road and the night game? How it'd be a little more difficult to see. How come that doesn't happen when you're hitting the ball?
Well, Harry, I'll tell you one thing. It's more difficult to see rotation on a ball and see the spin. Unfortunately for the Cubs, Scudder wasn't getting anything breaking over the plate. All 3 pitches were fastballs. They were all up. They were all gone. So Scudder is gone, and Burtzis comes in at 1-1 with a 4.35 ERA on for the 7th time. He's out of Michigan State University, so perhaps the left side of the infield won't feel very well for him because Sabo and Larkin, both from the Big Ten, but both from arch rival Michigan.
Here now is Joe Girardi and Burtz's first pitch. Fastball in there. Burtzis has been around.
Acquired from Oakland with Jose Rio for Dave Parker back in December of '87.
Boy, that Dave Parker's been involved in a lot of trips.
A lot of deals, sure.
Burtzis is 30 years old. Out of Pontiac, Michigan.
He appeared in 42 games for the Reds last year and started just 1.
Hot shot right at the third baseman. Sabo's got it. Over to first. That retires the side. But the Cubs score 5 runs on 4 hits. 3 of them home runs. We go in the bottom of the first. Greg Maddux will have a 5-0 lead.
On Ryan Sandberg's home run, a high fastball, and the Chicago Tribune round trip replay shows the home run went just far enough at 350 feet. We've got a couple more coming for you, so don't go away.
Here we go now with the Reds. Chris Sabo hitting .354. 6 homers. 15 RBI.
Greg Maddux making his 6th start of the year, his first against the Reds. He's looking for Major League victory number 50 tonight. 4-4 lifetime against Cincinnati with a 4.25 ERA in 9 games.
There's a strike call, a good fastball. Bill Olson, director of athletics, to the University of Louisville here with his family. That evens the count, a ball and a strike.
Last year, Maddux was 1-1 against the Reds. He started against them 3 times and had a 3.13 ERA.
He swung and he missed. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, we talked about Scudder's brilliant earned run average, 1.23. He didn't like it. He lasted 2/3 of an inning. His earned run average will never be 1.23 again.
Not for a long time.
The pitch. Bouncing ball. Wilkerson has it. Throws the first. He got him. Just barely, too. Wilkerson took his time. And Sabo can really go down that line.
Kurt is a second baseman by trade, so consequently he doesn't have that strong arm that you need to play third. But he does get it across just in time to get Sabo, whose surgically repaired knee probably has taken a step away from that great speed that he came into the league with just a couple of years ago.
Well, I don't know about that. He's tried to steal 8 times this year. He's only been successful 7 times.
Oh, I didn't say he wasn't a good base runner.
The pitch. Herm Winningham.
You have to always watch the bunt with this man. He can lay it down to both sides, but he prefers dragging it up the first baseline.
Inside, Ed Wills and his own fan club from Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis, Indiana, are on hand. Strike call. 3-1.
Winningham platooning in center field with Rolando Rooms until Eric Davis gets back and healthy again.
Bouncing ball. Grace backs up. 3-1 again. Boy, they got that play down to perfection. You know, is that combination that put Greg Maddux in the record book earlier this year for the most putouts by a pitcher at first base.
He had 7 in his game against Los Angeles Dodgers, and that is an all-time record.
Barry Larkin. He was hurt a lot last year. Hitting .343. Good strike call.
He said he doesn't think about power anymore. Hasn't hit a home run this year, but he still has some pop. A couple of years ago, he decided to start hitting the ball out of the park, and that batting average started to sink.
Ground ball sharply hit. Wilkerson throws. 1-2-3. At the end of 1, the Cubs 5, the Reds nothing. Harry Carey back at Riverfront Stadium when the Cubs lead 5-0. The pitch. Maddux hasn't had a hit this year, 0 for 14. He usually leads the pitchers in total hits. Burtsis breaks a curve over. Burtsis, 30 years old, 245-pounder. One ball, 2 strikes. He struck him out.
Let's take a look at Andre Dawson driving the ball out of the ballpark. His 8th home run of the year, his 24th RBI, and the Chicago Tribune round tripper replay shows this line drive went 355 feet.
Here's Jerome Walton, who started it all with a line single to right in the first. The pitch inside. Burtsis. B-I-R-T-S-A-S. He's got to be Greek. It ends in S, don't it? That was with Nick Gladys last night. And Jimmy Kalentis last night. 2 other Greeks whose name ended in S. Matter of fact, I don't think I've ever met a band of Greek nationality whose name doesn't end in S. Well, now you aren't. Everybody knows you're not Greek. Everybody in Skokie says you're the man of the year. 1 out, nobody on. 2 balls and the strike. Bounces in front of the plate. 3-1.
Ask Tom Browning, who's a mainstay in the starting rotation, about Tim Burtsis, and he said it's just a question of confidence. It's confidence that allowed Browning to come back to the major leagues after a demotion to AAA. And he says Burtsis needs just a little more confidence because Browning feels his stuff is good enough to win consistently here.
There's a smash to right that will be caught. Well hit, though. Walton lines hard to O'Neill in right.
We'll take a look at the power resurgence of Sean Dunston. A high fastball. Home run number 6, RBI number 17. And the Chicago Tribune round trip replay shows this one went 400 feet to left field.
Can't they space those home runs? That Tribune commercial get overlooked. Being repeated all the time. Here's a pitch in there for a strike call. George and Ruth Klassen from Des Plaines, Illinois, pulling for the Cubs. Here's Ryan Sandberg, who started it all off with a 2-run homer in the first.
Burtsis has given up 2 home runs in 11 2/3 innings.
2 balls and a strike. First meeting between these two teams this year. Foul out of play. The Skirkas are here from Crown Point, Indiana. Friends of George Justak. Originally being from Whiting. There's a drive. Way back. Near the left center field wall. It'll be caught. Billy Hatcher pulls it down. And Rhino hit the ball on the nose again. 1, 2, 3. Nothing across. Harry Carey and Steve Stone. Bensinger hits the first pitch hard to left field for a hit. 5-0 in favor of the Cubs.
Bensinger showed decent power for the Reds last year when he hit 17 home runs with 76 RBIs. He was one of the few Reds to stay healthy all year. He hit a disappointing .245, however, but this year just one of the legion of Reds over 300 in the early going.
So a runner on. Here's Paul O'Neill. Fastball inside.
O'Neill was off to a great start last year, and then he fractured a thumb making a diving catch, and that pretty much curtailed his season.
Bouncing ball, right field, a base hit by O'Neill. Runners are on at first and second, nobody out. And here's former Cub, 29-year-old outfielder Billy Hatcher.
Hatcher has 12 infield hits, including 5 bunts this year. And general manager Bob Quinn looks to Hatcher as one of the real big additions to this team. And he says that Hatcher has given him leadership. He's given him great speed. He's also given him a man who's hitting .357 in the early going.
1 homer, 5 RBIs. Ooh, boy, he just missed an extra base hit down the right field line. Outside first base. Ron Oster's next. A switch hitter.
Hatcher came up with the Cubs, but really came into his own in Houston. In 1987, he hit .296, swiped 53 bases that year for the Astros.
Fouled it out of play down the other line. 0-2 way ahead of him now. He's hit safely, batting .500 in his last 4 games.
Here's a look at Mitch Williams. who knows he won't be ready to go for a few innings yet.
Benzinger, the runner at second. Just missed the outside corner. Paul O'Neill at first. Billy Hatcher hitting. The count is 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Tim Leana working in the bullpen.
Struck him out, attaboy. Nice pitch, Greg. That's first breaking ball I think he's thrown. And he saved it for a good spot on Hatcher and struck him out. Here's Ron Oster.
That was a good hard breaking slider. Watch the location. Girardi wants it away, and Maddux breaks off a dandy. On the outside portion of the plate, completely fooling Hatcher.
Leilani. You sure that's not a song?
Sweet Leilani?
Yeah. The pitch to Oster. Bouncing ball. It is foul down the first base line.
Mariano Duncan had an altercation with home plate umpire Mark Hirschbeck. That night he was at third base, and he called Duncan out on a head-first slide. Looked like the hand was in there. Duncan didn't like the call, and Sam Perlazzo couldn't keep them apart. So Duncan was fined an undisclosed amount and suspended for 1 game. And that game, tonight's game. So Oster getting a look.
Now ready? The delivery. Fastball high. Perlazzo coaching at first base. Tony Perez at first base. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Ron Oster's had only 19 at-bats this year. He was the incumbent for many years here in Cincinnati.
Base hit, left field. Here comes the run around third. They're going to hold him up. And the bases are loaded. And Jeff Reed comes up, a left-hand hitter. Oster single to left.
Oster reaches out and drives it into the hole. And here's where the Cubs might get a break. Joe Oliver started this game, and he's got some pop. Oliver's hit 3 home runs already. Reed hitting just 111. Has hit 1 home run. But he also is fairly slow batting from the left side, so the Cubs might be able to turn it over on a ground ball.
The one advantage the Reds gain, they get a left-hand hitter up there instead of a right-hand hitter in Jeff Reed with the bases loaded. What Maddux will try and hope for will be a ground ball to get out of the inning with a double play. Boy, he hit a foul and hard outside third base.
Anytime you're pitching with a big lead, everyone tells you to get the ball over the plate, but that's a pitching trap, because before you know it, trying to get the ball over the plate with just fastballs, you'll find major league hitters jump on everything you throw. Maddux has got to start varying his pattern just a little bit. You saw how effective the slider was to Hatcher, but every base hit has been on a fastball this inning.
Ground ball. Wilkinson up, throws a second for 1 out, but by fumbling the ball, he lost the double play that Maddux was hoping for, and they pick up a run. 5-4 on the force out, and Benzinger scored. Oh, the ball was hit hard, but Curtis made a good play and had a cinch double play, but he couldn't hold it.
Second RBI of the year in just his 10th at bat for Jeff Reed.
Bouncing ball. Nice play by Sandberg over to first to retire the side. Burtsis grounds out. 1 run out of all that, 3 hits. 2 men left. At the end of 2, the Cubs lead 5-1. Carey back to the ballpark. We're going down to the top of the 3rd. Well, a little social note. Congratulations are in order to Bill Capodanno of the Tribune Broadcastings and Martha Iwanaski They got engaged today. There's a base hit for Grace down the third base line. It'll be extra bases. He's on his way to second with a double. And Mark Grace, facing the southpaw, Tim Burtz's, hit the first pitch right down the third base line for two.
Here's a question of not overswinging. Watch Grace. He just lays the bat out there. Sabo playing him well wide of the bag. No chance to get this one. And Grace in for 2 bases. Good piece of hitting by Mark Grace, and that's one of the reasons why he's going to hit over 300 for the majority of his career.
Well, well, well. It looks like those wedding bells are breaking up those old gangs of ours. Bill Capodanno and Martha Iwanaski of the Tribune Company engaged today. Congratulations. Here's Andre. There's a high fly ball should be caught. It is by Winningham in short center. Here's Dwight Smith.
It's always a concern with Andre Dawson just how the artificial surface is going to affect his knees, but he says he's not too worried about that. He thinks his knees are in as good a shape as they've been in many a year, and he doesn't anticipate any problems. Certainly no problems in the first inning and a line drive home run against Scott Scudder.
Dwight Smith, who walked his first time up. Was that Zimmer talking to Andre a minute ago? One ball, no strikes. One out. A man in scoring position. This is the kind of game you want to add on to your lead. Because if you kind of relax, the next thing you know, you look at the scoreboard and they either caught you or ahead of you. Fastball high, ball 2.
Also, you're facing the best offense in the National League in the Cincinnati Reds. Now, they're not a power-laden club, especially with Eric Davis out of the lineup. But they will single, double, and triple you to death. And they've got great speed.
A bouncing ball foul. 2 balls and the strike.
This is where the unsung hero of long relief comes in. Now, Tim Burtzis most probably will not get a decision here. But he can keep his team in the game or completely get blown out of it. So it's an important appearance for the ball club, even though he's not going to get much to talk about out of this one.
1 out. The pitch. Strike 2 call. 2-2. Curtis Wilkerson is next.
Burtzis appears to be throwing just a little bit harder this year than we remember last year. He had a fine ERA for Cincinnati, 3.75 in 42 appearances.
2-2 pitch. Struck him out. And so the leadoff double so far is wasted. And here comes Curtis Wilkerson, who bounced out hitting left-handed the first time, will bat right-handed this time.
Herman Winningham's a fine defensive center fielder. He does not have a great arm, however. This man was a #1 draft choice of the New York Mets many years ago, and probably best remembered as one of the 4 men traded to Montreal for Gary Carter. He's playing fairly shallow and straight away for Wilkerson.
Strike call. Larry and Maurice Schultz from the Quad Cities on hand, and the 8th grade class from St. Mary's in Westville, Illinois, cheering for the Cubs. That evens it up, a ball and a strike. Burtzis has retired. Everybody's face except Grace to open up with a double this inning. He's gotten 6 out of the 7 men he's faced.
Lou Piniella knows if he can get the game to his short relievers, he's got a leg up on the National League. He's got 3 men down there who throw the ball 95 miles an hour each.
Wide outside. And boy, they're easy to name off. Rob Dibble, Norm Charlton, and Randy Meyer.
They call them the Nasty Boys here in Cincinnati. And each one's stuff is nastier than the next. They are most intimidating.
2 balls and a strike. Ground ball. That'll be hit that one off the end of his bat. Easy out. We wasted a big opportunity. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. We go in the bottom of the 3rd. 5-1 Cubs. With Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman, Harry Carey back at Riverfront Stadium. First pitch, Sabo. Grounds out to Dunston. There's Gregory Hine, the movie star, great dancer with his boy there keeping score. I don't know about that earring.
I think you'd look good in an earring like that, Eric.
Why does it hang down from the ear?
That's the style.
Well, a lot of guys wear earrings that aren't the style then. Hey, what a dancer. Remember Cotton Club?
Yes, I do, and he was outstanding in it.
He and his brother. There's the first pitch in there, a strike off. Herm Winningham. I gotta have to take him under my wing and teach him a step or 2.
Right. He could have never done that commercial you did. I know that.
There's the bunt. Who's going to cover first? Nobody's there.
Well, we talked earlier about Herm Winningham loving to push the ball by the pitcher and then beating everyone to the bag. And that time when Maddux missed it, Grace had to hang back and there was nobody to cover first. The key here is bunting it hard enough to get it by Maddux, who's a fine fielding pitcher. And no chance. A base hit for Winningham.
That will bring up Barry Larkin, who bounced out sharply to the third baseman, Wilkerson. Throw to first, runner back.
Larkin hurt his elbow at the All-Star game, and he was troubled by it the rest of the year. So he said he went on a strengthening program in the wintertime. He feels his elbow is better than it was at any time last year, and he's looking for a healthy 1990.
Throw. He's back. 5-1 in favor of the Cubs.
Barry, a #1 draft choice in the June 1985 draft out of the University of Michigan, and just another one of the native Cincinnati players to come to the major leagues.
Fastball high. Todd and Mike from Miami University of Ohio. And Marianne Wilkie and Roger and Karen King are on hand. All Cub fans. Bouncing ball. It's a base hit in the left field. Cut off by Sean Dunston. That ball was not hit hard, but off this AstroTurf, it took a high hop and cleared Wilkerson's head.
That's the real hard dirt in front of home plate. And you can see how a couple of balls have reacted. That's one of the reasons Tony Perez, the hitting instructor, has taught most of these Reds to start hitting down on the ball. Don't try to hit the ball out of the park. This is a very lively park anyway, and you'll get the home runs, but you'll get many more base hits off this hard infield.
George and Lillian Schutak from Berkeley, Illinois on hand. Celebrating a wedding anniversary. And they're here from Streator, Illinois.
Great speed on the bases for the Reds. Winningham.
The only man with only average speed is the batter, Bensinger. Hopefully hit the ball on the ground. There it is. Ground ball to bat flies. 3-1 again. The runners advance to second and third. Boy, the broken bat sailed all the way to first base. Look at the coach over there.
Maddux saws the bat off in the hands of Todd Benzinger, and you can see the bat flying. Mark Grace, realizing he only has one play, takes the easy play to first.
Now here's Paul O'Neill with 2 homers, 22 RBI. Singled his first time. Curveball low inside. Runners second and third. The Reds spotted the Cubs 5 runs in the first.
You've got first base open here and a dangerous left-hand hitter up in O'Neill with Billy Hatcher on deck. The man you fanned in the second. You've got to be careful to O'Neill.
Strike call over the inside corner, a fastball.
Paul's been trying to pull most everything. That's the reason why last couple of years that batting average has been down for him.
Swung and he fouled it back, and he had a good cut at that one.
He's the leading RBI man on this team with 22. So in the absence of Eric Davis, O'Neill has taken over.
Maddux. Outfield straight away. Look where Sandberg's playing, back in short right. Ooh, barely missed the strike zone. 2-2. Again, he had a good cut and fouled it back.
Because of his power and his RBI production, a lot of pitchers have been throwing him away. But if Maddux can get that good fastball right in on the hands of O'Neill, he can get him. Let's see if Girardi wants it in there or if they do go away from him.
2-2. Ball 3. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Maddux, a big number 31 on the back of this Cubs shirt. 2 infield hits have caused us trouble. 3-2 pitch. There's a drive way back. It might be. It could be. It may. He made the catch. Holy cow. He made the catch. Jerome Orland. What a sensational play. And then he got hooked up on a fence. He made a sensational catch. And the Reds are down without scoring. 2 hits, 2 left. Tom Brenneman will be along in a moment. Carey from Cincinnati. At the end of 3, the Cubs 5. The Reds 1.
With our producer-director Arnie Harris and Steve Stone, Tom Brenneman back at Riverfront Stadium, and what a tremendous play by Jerome Walton.
It saved the Cubs and Maddux 3 runs, and you're not going to see many better than that.
No, you are not. Paul O'Neill, the man that hit it a long way, but only to be robbed by Jerome Walton.
Tim Burtz is doing the job holding the Cubs at bay, and his offense, which has been just unbelievable all year, trying to fight back in this one.
So leading it off, it'll be Sean Dunston here in the Cubs' 4th inning, leading Don Zimmer's team does by a score of 5-1. Could have been a 5-4 game just like that if it hadn't have been for Walton. Slapped out a play, and that'll make it no balls and 2 strikes to Dunston. And here's another look at that brilliant catch.
Watch the timing of Jerome Walton. He's back right at the wall, knows exactly where he is, and at the top of his leap, he brings it back into the field of play. It is out of the ballpark, over the wall, and Jerome Walton was spectacular.
Sean Dunston lifts a base hit into center field, and the Cubs shortstop is a perfect 2 for 2.
I'd like to wish birthday greetings to Kirsten Zienti, Don Zienti Jr., and a couple of other Cub fans looking on: Sean Condon, Megan Condon, and Lucille Bobbitt.
Joe Girardi was the first batter to face the left-hander Tim Burtz after he came on for Scott Scudder with 2 down in the 1st inning. Girardi bounced to 3rd. Also like to congratulate my sister, who is now engaged, and she is marrying a young man from Chicago, David Veneris. His father up in Albany, New York, Ernie Veneris, watching tonight. Congratulations to you. 1-0 to Girardi.
Lou Piniella guessed wrong. Jeff Reed called the pitch out. Nothing doing on the part of Don Zimmer. Joe Girardi will make some contact, and this is not a bad hit and run situation for the Cubs.
Dunston over at first, nobody out. Fouled out of play to even the count at 1 ball and 1 strike.
Tom, you remember Tim Burtzis coming over from the Oakland A's with a reputation of being a big guy who didn't throw very hard, but tonight he looks like he's added some velocity.
I agree with you. I don't think I've ever seen him throw this hard, and I watched him almost every outing he had last season. He's a lot like Dennis Rasmussen. When you look at him, you think he could throw it through a wall, but it's not the case. Dunston over at first base. Nobody out. And again, Burtzis a throw to Benzinger.
Like so many pitchers in the league these days, to combat the rash of stolen bases, they've gone to almost no leg kick. Burtzis with what they call a slide step, not lifting that front leg, but just kind of sliding it toward the hitter. There's a quick throw, but Dunston back. So the National League getting much more aggressive these days, and pitchers have got to make an adjustment.
Well, you have to believe Don Zimmer is also aware of the fact that Joe Oliver is out of the ball game, and he's the man who's gunned down. Over 50% of men trying to steal against him, including the likes of Coleman and McGee in one game against the Redbirds. 2-1.
We'll try to get a medical report for you on Joe Oliver, who left the game after having a ball foul tipped off his throwing hand in the first inning. That could be a big blow to the Reds, because Oliver, one of their many homegrown products, was really coming of age this year, and a lot of people compared him to the best throwing catcher the Reds have had since Johnny Bench.
2-1 now to Girardi, and Burtzis again to Benzinger. Dunston back. 3 home runs by the Cubs in the first inning. 2-run blast by Sandberg, number 5. Solo home run from Dawson, his 8th. And Sean Dunston clubbed a solo home run, his 6th. 2-1 pitch. And that evens the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
The Cubs now successful. 33 of their 43 stolen base attempts, so they're running very well this year.
Nobody out, and the count is 2-2 to Joe Girardi. Joe, a .279 batter. The pitch, bouncing ball to Larkin. Tough play, bobbles, and he won't be able to come up with it.
Little charity here in Cincinnati.
Absolutely.
That certainly looked like a play that Larkin should have made, at least getting 1 out, but they're crediting Joe Girardi with a base hit. He'll certainly take it. Maybe that's how the Reds are leading the National League with only 12 errors this year, with calls like that.
Very good chance. Jim Fry's old buddy, the official scorer here. Old Western Hills High graduating me.
Now you've got a bunt situation for Maddux, who's laid down a couple of sacrifices this year. And if you had a choice, you'd like to bunt it at Chris Sabo at third. But watch the pickoff play at second.
Here's a pitch, and he slaps the ball to the second baseman, Oster. So he gets the job done. Showing bunt, but then swinging away. Runners advance to second and third.
Good play for the team, and it cost Maddux an at-bat instead of a sacrifice, but the same result. Used to be called Butcher Boy. All you did was show bunt and draw the bat back, and with the infield supposedly shifting at all 3 positions, you're supposed to get a hole if you put the ball on the ground, but Oster didn't shift. He stayed right there, and they make the play easily.
So that'll bring up Jerome Walton with runners at second and third. Cincinnati brings its infield in. Walton singled and scored on the home run from Sandberg, and then fly to right. The pitch. Swing and a miss. 0-1.
You've got to have some contact here, unless you're thinking about the suicide squeeze. With the infield very close, it becomes a little more difficult. But Don Zimmer loves the suicide, and he's got a good bunter up in Walton.
Dunston 90 feet away from the Cubs' 6th run of the ball game. The pitch. And now he's behind 0-2.
One thing you have to do if you're a hitter in this situation is cut down your swing and make some contact. The outfield arms aren't great. And there's very few angles on ground balls, especially on the artificial surface with the infield in. So odds are even a chopping ground ball gets you the run.
0-2 with Rhino on deck. Here it comes, and it's inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. This season for the Cubs has already started much like last year went. They've won 4 in a row, lost 3 in a row, won 2 in a row in their last 9 alone. Runners at second and third. The infield still in. The pitch. And they got him looking.
Now there's a dilemma for Lou Piniella. And Mark Hirschbeck and Jerome Walton going head to head. Hirschbeck, one of those guys that doesn't take a great deal. He's the man who booted Mariano Duncan, so Don Zimmer coming out to protect his leadoff hitter. But you've got first base open. You have red-hot Ryne Sandberg on deck. He's coming to bat, and a left-hander due up next. Lou Piniella has got a choice whether to walk him or not as we look at the called third to Jerome Walton. He thought it was inside. It looked inside, but Hirschbeck said it was close enough. And a conference on the mound.
Well, what you mentioned, Steve, is probably exactly what Piniella is going to ask Burtzes. Does he want to pitch to the right-handed swinging Ryne Sandberg, or go ahead and put him on and take his chances with Grace?
There are more runs scored with asking your pitcher to do something that's unnatural for him, which is pitch around a guy, try to make him swing at a couple of bad pitches, and if you get behind him, then walk him. Because sometimes trying to guide the ball, 1, you might throw a wild pitch. 2, you might leave one of those breaking balls out over the plate. But we'll see what Burtzes wants in this situation, and more important, what Piniella wants.
Well, Sandberg has hit the ball very, very sharply both times. A 2-run home run in the first inning, and then he sent Billy Hatcher to the warning track in the left center field gap his second trip. Rhino with 5 home runs and now 17 RBIs. He has been dynamite, and so the decision has been made to go ahead and intentionally pass Ryne Sandberg and roll the dice with a left-handed swinging Mark Grace.
Grace has already shown Piniella that he can take the ball the other way in the 3rd inning double.
I think Zimmer has still been out of shape about that called third on Walton. This will be the first walk given up by left-hander Tim Burtzes, and the bases will be loaded when Rhino takes 1 more. Cincinnati native returning home, and he's doing a number on the home team, leading at 5-1 here in the top half of the 4th inning.
Tom, what is it about this very small area of the country that produces so many great major league ball players, managers, general managers, and on as far as baseball is concerned?
Most people, Don Zimmer and Jim Fry, will tell you it's the coaching at the knothole level, the younger people. Grace takes a strike with the bases loaded. I mean, you can go down the list from Fry to Zimmer to Pete Rose, Dave Parker, Barry Larkin, Ron Oster here, Benzinger at first base.
Russ Nixon, Kent Tekulve, it goes on and on.
0-1 with 2 down. Here it comes. Swing and a miss on the inside part of the plate. And Burtzes has jumped out in front with the bases swimming to Mark Grace. 0-2.
He had good movement on that fastball. It sunk out of sight. Grace thought he had it measured pretty well. But Burtzes showing a little more life on the fastball these days.
Grace is 1 for 2. Doubled his last trip. Bases are loaded. 2 down. The 0-2 delivery. And fouled out of play. Grace is very sick. Sounds terrible. Woke up yesterday with a flu. He went ahead and changed his shoes and socks today in the locker room. I asked him why. He said, hey, I haven't hit a home run in 100 at bats. Something's got to give. Race against Burstis. Bases loaded. 0-2 pitch. And ball one.
That time Burstis tried to drop down from the side, and at 6'7", that can be most imposing. But Grace hanging tough, and the key to any left-hander against the left-hand pitcher is that front shoulder. Make sure it stays in nice and tight. You don't fly open too soon.
Grace has hit safely in 13 of his last 15 games. The big left-hander from the stretch in the 1-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. No runs, 2 hits. 3 men left on. Middle of the 4th at Riverfront Stadium. Cubs in front, 5-1. Bottom of the 4th inning. Billy Hatcher behind 0-1 to Maddux, and his team trails the Cubs 5-1. Billy Hatcher, his first trip, struck out swinging. The pitch, and that is a fair ball down the left field line. Hatcher with great speed will go to second easily. Coming up with the ball is Smith, and a leadoff double for Billy Hatcher.
Billy Hatcher doing it all for Cincinnati early in the season. He drives the ball down the line. This was a supposed little deal by Bob Quinn, the general manager. He went to the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he traded a fine young pitching prospect in Mike Ressler and a utility infielder in Jeff Richardson. And he got Billy Hatcher, and what a godsend he's been. He gives him exactly what Lou Piniella likes in his ball club, a lot of speed and a very aggressive ball player who once stole 53 bases for the Houston Astros.
Well, I think you'd probably have to say it's been the deal of the year for either league, as far as one player really putting up terrific numbers. Ron Oster singled to left field and then was forced at second in the second. Hatcher at second. Inside, ball one. Oster, of course, the once everyday second baseman, and he was very upset at Lou Piniella, who, after taking the job a week later, not having seen either player on an everyday basis, announced that Mariano Duncan would be the second baseman. Well, it's proved to be a good call, but Oster was not pleased.
When your new second baseman is hitting 400, though, you don't have much of a complaint, and Oster's just going to have to wait in line.
Hatcher at second base. Nobody out. Out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike. Oster, a native Cincinnatian, as is Barry Larkin and Todd Benzinger. Actually, Benzinger from a little town just east, New Richmond, Ohio.
Oster's a man with a .264 lifetime batting average, but very few career home runs.
1-1 delivery. Gets away from Girardi, and Hatcher will move on to third base. Wild pitch.
This goes as wild pitch number 2 for the year. Breaking ball down, getting away from Joe Girardi. It hits well in front of home plate. And right through the legs of both Girardi and Mark Hirschbeck. Sometimes you get a break, the ball hit the umpire. Hirschbeck might be bow-legged.
There's a very good chance of that, the way it's scooted through. This will get a run home. Grace coming to the plate, and he is safe. You're not going to throw out Billy Hatcher coming to home plate.
That's a gamble you just don't want to make. You've got a 4-run lead. You want to stay out of the big inning. You've got one of the fastest men on the ball club at third base. And Mark Grace decides to gamble and loses the gamble. The throw is off the mark. He can't get a flying Hatcher coming home. And now Maddux in some trouble. There's the gamble. It doesn't work. And now it's a 3-run lead.
5-2 ball game, and here's the number 8 man, Jeff Reed. Joe Oliver had to leave the game in the top half of the first inning when a foul ball got him in the hand. Reed has driven in a run on a fielder's choice force out. 1-0.
It was a classic point that Earl Weaver kept trying to hammer home to his Baltimore Orioles that led all of baseball in wins for something like 25 years. Stay out of the big inning. Whatever you do, you can overcome a couple of runs, but you can't overcome 5 or 6 in an inning.
Fooled him right there. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. Jeff Reed from Joliet, Illinois. Oster at first base for the RBI, his 3rd of the year. Warming up now in the Cincinnati bullpen, right-hander Tim Leana. Maddux at check of the runner, and the 1-1 pitch. Goes to 2-1 as he misses away. Jeff Reed, one of those left-handed hitting catchers, always seems to be able to find a job.
You don't find many of those, and with that in mind, in the extended spring training, Damon Berryhill did catch 5 innings. That's good news for the Cubs.
Grace will go to second base. Should be able to turn it, but no, as Grace slipped. He slipped after he made the throw, trying to come back to first. And Dunston saw it and didn't bother to throw.
Cubs have made a couple of 3-6-3 double plays the last week. And here's a chance to make another one, but there's Mark Grace having his feet go out from under him, and Dunston not wanting to risk an error holding the ball, and that's a sign of maturity on the part of Sean Dunston. A few years back, he'd have rifled that ball. It might have wound up in the dugout with nobody covering first base. Now you just hold it.
2 down in the inning, and here's a pitcher, Burtsis. Punts it foul, 0-1. 1 down, correct me, in the inning. I'm sure if Jeff Reed would have reached on a base hit and Oster was not forced, there would have been a pinch hitter and they would have gone ahead and pitched Leana the next inning.
This is the second time that's happened. Leana was up once before, only to find Oster not getting on, Oster getting on, Reed not getting on, and then they let Burtsis hit.
Going to try to advance the runner, and he takes strike 2. 0-2 now on Tim Burtsis with Jeff Reed over at first. This is another area. You pointed out the 2-out base hits, something Cincinnati's done extremely well. You talk to people who see him every day, and they say fundamentally it's been a great team under Piniella.
Well, Burtsis has not batted this year going into tonight's game, and so it's not easy to bunt against a guy throwing the ball 90 miles an hour.
0-2 again. He'll try, and this time he'll get it done. 2 down in the inning. Give Burtsis a sacrifice.
This is from the media relations department. Since Ryne Sandberg's last air, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Poland, Bulgaria, East Germany, and Romania have held free elections, and the Berlin Wall came tumbling down. NASA has launched 6 space shuttles with cargo, including the Galileo spacecraft, which went on to take pictures of Jupiter. The Hubble Space Telescope, which is currently taking pictures of the universe, and tomatoes for a controlled experiment. So that piece of information about the long airless streak of Ryne Sandberg provided by Vicky Patriga and Chuck Wasserstrom. They had to call the State Department to get that information.
And Ned Colletti, of course, the man who puts it all into motion, the Cubs PR director. But the only problem Ned could run into is when the Cubs brass gets a hold of that phone bill. That's some serious information. Runner at second base. 2 down for Chris Sabo, who's 0 for 2. And he hammers this ball deep to left field. Off the wall. Coming in to score is Reed. Sabo into second base with an RBI. And it's now a 5-3 game. And this goes all the way back to the point you made about Grace coming to the plate on the ball with Billy Hatcher coming from third.
Anytime you give a team with this kind of offense extra outs in an inning, you're asking for trouble. It's RBI number 16. Nice play on the carom by Dwight Smith. But Sabo, who's having a wonderful start, continues pounding the baseball. And that'll bring Don Zimmer out to the mound to talk with Maddux.
Well, nothing shaken in the bullpen right now for Don Zimmer's team. However, you have some pretty big bats coming up after Herm Winningham. Winningham, a guy, of course, who's on for Eric Davis. And that's probably as remarkable as anything as Cincinnati's done this season. The fact that they're 19-6, 13-3 on the road, but minus their best player.
Well, if you look at the numbers, Davis just didn't contribute all that much. He was hitting just 186 when he went down. He had hit just 1 home run with 8 RBIs. And guys like Paul O'Neill, Chris Sabo, Barry Larkin, and surprisingly, Mariano Dunkett, all pulling the load for Cincinnati.
Here's Winningham with Sabo at second base. Taken ball high. For Sabo, that is only his second hit in 14 career at-bats against Greg Maddux. The '88 Rookie of the Year who just edged out Cubs first baseman Mark Grace in the balloting. 1-0 pitch. Now 2-0.
The Mets for a while thought that Herman Winningham would be their everyday center fielder until they traded him to Montreal in the Gary Carter deal. Montreal thought he would play every day in center field. It hasn't worked out for him. But as a bit player here in Cincinnati, they're getting a lot of mileage out of Herman Winningham.
That one's off the end of the fist. It'll bounce for a base hit. Sabo will come home to score, and it's now a one-run ball game in favor of the Cubs. RBIs in the inning from Oster, Sabo, and now Winningham.
Fourth RBI for Herman Winningham. He just gets enough of it to dump it into center field. Bullpen up and going now for Don Zimmer and the Cubs. And that's Don Zimmer giving the signs to Joe Girardi if he wants a pitch out. Paul Ossenmacher starting to get loose.
Well, as much as Sabo hates to hit against Maddux, it's a different ball game for Barry Larkin. He's now 9 for 18 against the Cubs right-hander, including a home run.
Winningham with 4 stolen bases in 4 attempts this year. Joining the rest of the running Reds, they have been outstanding on the base paths.
Larkin 1 for 2. Winningham at first base. And he takes a strike. Larkin a 7-game hitting streak and has 5 RBIs in those ball games. Already this season 11 multi-hit games.
He says the last couple of weeks he's been lucky. They've been rained out. They've had off days, and he said he's not quite sure about his stroke at this point, but it looks pretty good to me.
Maddux trying to get out of the inning, and this should get him out of it. Walton with room and makes the catch, but the Reds come up with 3 runs on 3 base hits. They leave a runner after 4. The Cubs lead by 1.
Take it away, Tom.
Running a track meet there, my friend. You know, it's amazing your flexibility. One game you got to do it in about 15. The next you have 45, and it's really flowing and easy, and well, you're getting it done. 2-0 now to Andre Dawson. Here's a look at Eric Davis. Became the highest paid player in Reds history this off-speed season. 3-year contract, $9 million plus.
How about that? He also became the highest paid batting practice pitcher in history because he threw before the game today, much to the lament of most of the hitters.
Andre Dawson, a fly ball to right field. O'Neill will not get there. I saw a play last season. We were doing the game in Philadelphia. Exact same kind of ball with a runner at second base, and O'Neill kicked it to the first baseman. Never seen anything like it.
Well, I know one thing. He's not going to be diving anymore. Early in his career, he dove for a fly ball in right field, and he tore ligaments in his right thumb. Last year, he dove for a ball in right field, and he broke his left thumb. So I think he's going to play him on the hop from now on and keep on hitting.
I'm sure Piniella would like to see him get the body in front of it if he's going to short hop it that way. That ball goes to the wall. Dawson's got a triple. White Smith 0 for 1. Walked, stole a base, and scored. Throw over, and Dawson just back. Quick move.
That's a good move that Burtsis has, where he steps back off the mound quickly and then fires to first, and he almost fooled Andre Dawson. Bullpen up one more time for Cincinnati.
Tim Leana and Rick Mailer, a pair of right-handers. Smitty trying to move the runner over and fouls it out of play. 0-1.
This is a very lively ballpark in Cincinnati. It's 330 down the lines, 375 to the power alleys, 404 to straightaway center field, but the ball jumps. And once again, Dawson very close to being picked off by the quick move of Burtsis. Andre getting a little surprised down at first base, and let's hope he's okay.
Andre with a couple of stolen bases this season. Not one to run with a knee you wouldn't suspect. But Burtsis is not going to take the chance of being surprised. 0-1 to Dwight Smith, and again he may show bunt. He does. There goes Dawson. Throw down by Reed, and the Hawk beat it by a mile. Third stolen base for Andre Dawson.
Andre Dawson got a great jump against Burtzis. This time Tim elects not to go to first, and Dawson takes advantage of it. 3 for 3 this year, and Andre Dawson, realizing that only one player in the history of the game has 300 home runs and 300 stolen bases, and that's Willie Mays. He is bidding to become number 2.
That's not a bad man to be in company with.
13 more stolen bases, and he'll have that goal.
Count is 1-1 to Dwight Smith with Andre Dawson at second base and nobody out. Larkin sneaking in behind, but Dawson picked him up and got back.
Smitty's got an obvious task right now. Hit the ball to the right side, and if you don't think you can pull Burtzis, you got to lay one down.
Sabo tugging in at third base. And again a foul ball. That'll make it 1-2. Don Zimmer leaning over the railing down in the Cubs dugout, trying to make something happen, and Smith, at least temporarily, not able to get the job done. Maybe swinging away, he can get Dawson home from second base. One ball and 2 strikes. Burtzis looks him back.
I had the opportunity before the game to speak to your dad, who's been doing the radio here in Cincinnati for what, 18 years? You guys have the same voice.
It's called genetics, I think. I've never been all that bright. Maybe they have another word for it.
I think it's called the same voice. I'm not sure. That might be the medical term, though.
Dr. Stone has a ring to it. You ever thought about it?
Just briefly.
2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. That is Tim Burtz's 5th strikeout since coming on for Scott Scudder with 2 down in the first.
We talked about the unsung hero in middle relief, and tonight that award has got to go to Tim Burtzis, who came on in the first inning after Scott Scudder was battered by 3 home runs, and Burtzis has held the Cubs at bay. You allow his offense, which is high power, to get back in the game.
And the reason, quite honestly, Rick Mailer went to long relief was because Lou Piniella felt it was the only weak spot in his pitching rotation. Sabo will make the play. 2 down. Here comes a runner to third, and Dawson will beat it. Heads up base running by Andre Dawson.
You have a choice right there if you're a third baseman. You can hold the ball a while and take a look at Andre Dawson, but you don't know how long you can hold it with Wilkerson. Now, he just gave him the real quick look, and Dawson shows you his knees are 100%. This is aggressive heads-up base running. Now you can score on the pass ball or wild pitch. That's a fine play by Dawson.
And I don't think you can say it enough times, and we've brought it up dozens of times, the fact that Dawson looks so aggressive. Not only the way he's hitting the baseball, but an example right there of running and the way he's been able to track balls down in the outfield.
This is the last year of his contract, and Andre Dawson is a man with tremendous pride.
Here's Sean Dunston with 2 down and a runner at third. Strike 1 on the inside corner. Boy, that's the second pitch that Mark Hirschbeck has called a strike, and Dunston is pondering the result of that call.
He doesn't like to take first ball fastballs, but he thought it was tight. Hirschbeck thought it was good.
5-4 ball game. 2 down, 1 on here in the top of the 5th inning. Evens it up in 1 ball and 1 strike. Dunston 2 for 2. Homered in the first and singled in the 4th.
This becomes a pretty big run because you know you're going to need some more against Cincinnati.
Check of the runner and the 1-1 delivery. Up high, 2 balls and a strike. Dunston by far and away, average and power numbers, the best start of his short career. Blossomed into the fine player the Cubs thought he would be last season, and has carried it over to 1990. Dawson at third. 2 down in the 2-1 pitch. Going back is O'Neill. He's got a beat on it, and that's seeing it. No runs after a leadoff single from Dawson. 1 man left. Middle of the 5th. Cubs 5 and the Reds 4. Todd Benzinger drops a leadoff single here in the bottom half of the 5th inning, and Cincinnati has now chucked off its 9th hit of the ball game.
The crew would like to wish a happy birthday to George Kleba, who's 84 years old today.
That'll bring up Paul O'Neill. O'Neill singled his first trip and then was robbed of a home run on a sparkling play from Jerome Walton, who leapt up over the wall to haul it in. Check swing. Did he go? An appeal down to third, and no, says Bob Davidson.
It's going to be Paul Assenmacher once again in the bullpen for the Cubs.
Benzinger 2 for 3. He scored a run a little bit earlier, leads over at first base. And Paul O'Neill comes into the game with 22 runs knocked in. That's good enough for 5th in the league. In the dirt, 2-0. I think O'Neill might be one of the best unknown players in all of baseball. I say unknown because when you think of Cincinnati, Larkin or a Davis would come to mind, certainly first and second. But O'Neill last year in just 117 games drove in 74 runs. You mentioned that broken thumb that kept him out of action. Fly ball left field. Smith over towards the line. 1 away.
O'Neill's an example of a guy that's just starting to come of age at the major league level. He was drafted number 4 once again, came through the Cincinnati organization. They knew about him because he lived just down the road in Columbus, where he played a little basketball. He seems to be getting better and better for the Reds, and he can provide the long ball and certainly is one of the fine RBI men in the league.
Billy Hatcher 1 for 2, doubled and scored in the 4th. Benzinger at first base. And this one will reach the seats. 0-1.
One thing we didn't know about Billy Hatcher, we knew that he could run from his days with the Cubs and knew that he could steal bases from his days with Houston. But Bob Quinn, the GM, said he's quite a leader on the ball club, that he came to this clubhouse and has a positive effect from the time he got here. So they feel that he's just the right man in the right spot for this team. And so far, he's turned in quite an early season performance.
Runner at first base, 1 down. 1-run game, Cubs in front. 1 ball and a strike. And he left Pittsburgh, Steve, on a very good note. The Pirates knew he wasn't going to play. He knew he wasn't going to play with Bonilla going to the outfield. And they traded him to a team that had a chance to win. He was appreciative of that.
Well, both Jim Leyland and Larry Doty, the general manager in Pittsburgh, liked Billy Hatcher. And breaking into that outfield is something that's a near impossibility with the Pirates. They did him a favor. They got a pretty good young pitching prospect in Mike Ressler in the deal, and a guy who can pick it in Jeff Richardson.
1-1. Pitch out. There goes Benzinger. And the throw not even close. A busted hit and run, it looked like.
The Cubs just fell asleep in the infield. Apparently, the only one in the infield who didn't know there was a pitch out was Sean Dunston. Nobody covering second. Benzinger's got no speed at all. Only his second base of the year stolen. Now, he's the most surprised man in the world when he finds nobody at second. A mental mistake on the part of the Cubs.
Well, let's see if it comes back to hurt him. Runner at second base, 2-1 to Hatcher. Popped it up. Girardi coming back towards the screen and will not make the catch. It looked like it hit the top of his glove.
I think he might have hurt his throwing hand rubbing it against the screen. Mark Hirschbeck coming right back with Girardi on the play and recognizing that Girardi did not hold on to the ball. We'll watch it again and watch Joe right up against the screen. No play. He doesn't get it.
Good try by the young Cubs catcher. Girardi is a gamer behind that plate. 2-2 now to Billy Hatcher. Benzinger at second base and only 1 away. And he struck him out. Foul tip into the mid of Girardi. Good pitch.
Cubs have found something out about Billy Hatcher. He's a lot more effective if he doesn't have to look at this slider. Watch the location of this one. It just disappears outside. It's a foul tip. Girardi hangs on. And Hatcher goes down on strike.
Ron Oster, 1 for 2 with an RBI. He was a man who hit the bouncing ball to first with Hatcher at third. Race tried to come to the plate and it wasn't in time. 1-0. Oster in the lineup for Mariano Duncan, serving a 1-game suspension for shoving an umpire. Mariano Duncan is the league's leading hitter. Foul ball.
Duncan said something interesting before the game, and he feels it's one of the reasons why he's off to such a hot start. He said in Los Angeles he had a lot of guys telling him how to hit. He said every day in the dugout, Tommy Lasorda would tell him something. Then Joe Ferguson would tell him something. Manny Mota would make a suggestion, and Ben Hines, the hitting instructor, would tell him something else. He said he was being pushed and pulled in all different directions. But coming over here to Cincinnati, he said Tony Perez is the man who told him to bring his hands down, get him away from his body. And that's the one man he listens to, and that's the reason he's hitting .400 and leading the league.
Tony Perez, the only survivor from the Pete Rose regime. Fouled back. Count goes to 1-2.
I think the most amazing thing, if you look at the numbers on Mariano Duncan, is the fact that he's shown great power over here in Cincinnati. And he credits that to putting on 10 or 11 pounds in a weightlifting program in the wintertime.
Well, he is really put together. I mean, the 10 or 11 pounds almost look like 15 or 20 on him, all in the upper body. 1-2. Count evens up. Twos are wild here in the bottom half of the 5th inning with the Cubs in front 5-4. Assenmacher still stretching down in the bullpen. He struck him out. Good work by Greg Maddux. Back-to-back Ks after a leadoff hit from Todd Benzinger. We go to the 6th. Still a 5-4 Cubs lead. Sunday night on Channel 9, a man finds himself on the wrong side of a wrong law. Clint Eastwood is tracked and hunted like an animal in the outlaw Josie Wales. It's making its WGN premiere Sunday night at 6 on Chicago's very own Channel 9. Great movie.
Well, they tried to ban that film, you know, but after the Save the Whales campaign, it's back on WGN.
They brought it back, and that's good news. Joe Girardi, fair ball down the left field line. Over to cut it off is Hatcher, but Girardi will go into second base with a leadoff double.
If they're going to get to Tim Burtsis, it's going to be this inning, because Burtsis only had 10 1/3 innings pitched total this year coming into today. He's in his 5th inning of relief. This is a slider that Girardi does not allow to get down and in, and he rifles this ball by Sabo. So Joe Girardi continues his hot hitting, and the Cubs trying to add to that lead. It's a precarious one against a fine offensive club in a very lively ballpark.
Well, tonight's scoreboard stumper. 5 Chicago Cubs have 200 or more career home runs. Can you name them?
I can now because it's up on the board. I don't know if I could have before.
Popped up. Burtsis, a good play. And Girardi not advancing on to third base.
If you're a base runner in this situation, you can't move when the ball is in the air on the bunt. And that's a good base running play by Joe Girardi. If he does run and Burtsis comes up with this, he runs into a double play. So you have to hold your ground. If the ball gets by Burtsis, then Girardi can advance. But right here, Girardi's saying, I got to get back. A good barehanded pickup. And Burtsis shows a little of that basketball agility by making the out at first. Rick Mailer now throwing in the bullpen.
Well, you want to pass along the answer for our viewers at home?
Go get him.
Bill Nicholson.
Yes.
Gabby Hartnett.
Well, I remember Gabby well. Don't forget Ernie.
Billy Williams.
Billy.
And
our
old buddy next door,
Ron Santo, 350 some odd home runs. How about that, sports fans?
Now Lou Piniella.
How about the Ron Santo in the Hall of Fame situation that we haven't heard a lot about, but when you look at his numbers, and I realize that Brooks Robinson was a great third baseman, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but certainly Ron Santo's numbers compare favorably with Brooks Robinson or anybody you care to mention at third base. And here was a man that won 6 Gold Gloves.
Ron on the far right of your screen, Harry of course in the middle, and Bob Brenly to Harry's right. Well, there's only one third baseman out of the 7 in the Hall of Fame to have more home runs than Santo. There's only one that has more RBIs.
Eddie Matthews is a home run.
Obviously. So here's a guy that probably, because he had no playoff experience in a day and age when there wasn't the cable TV, games on every night of the week. Brooks Robinson, guys like, not that he doesn't deserve to be, because of course he does. But Santo, statistically, I don't remember seeing him play all that often. But you would think statistically he deserves to be there. Ball 1 to Jerome Walton, who's 1 for 3.
You probably didn't see a lot of games when you were 2 and 3. That's why you don't remember Ron playing.
And I remind him of that often. Runner at second base is Girardi. 5-4 Cubs lead here in the 6th. 1 ball, 2 balls now, and no strikes on Walton.
After the short conference on the mound, a vote of confidence for Tim Burtzis. And Walton remembers well the inside fastball called by Mark Hirschbeck in the 4th inning. He's going to have to protect inside.
Walton was on base when Sandberg took Scott Scudder out of here in the 1st inning.
Girardi with better than average speed for a catcher. In fact, he's got to be one of the best running catchers in the National League. He's stolen 5 bases this year. He's only been caught 1 time. He will score on a base hit.
One down with a runner at second base. 2-0 offering to Walton. And he catches the inside corner on a breaking ball. 2 balls and 1 strike. Jerome Walton. Good hitter's pitch right here at 3-1.
Rick Mahler trying to make that conversion from the starting rotation to the bullpen. Last year he started 31 games for the Reds, but as you get a little older and you find talented youngsters in the rotation, you've got to take a step backwards and move to the pen if you're going to stay around. Rick Mahler's name mentioned in a lot of trade talks all around the National League.
3 balls and a strike to Walton, and now Jerome asked for timeout. Waited long enough for Burtzis to bring it. Well, Mahler, a real team player. Obviously, he's not happy about being sent to the bullpen, but at the same time, he'd like a chance for the first time in a long while to play in a National League Championship Series. Girardi will tag up and move on to third on the fly ball to right from Walton. 2 down.
This is a game of nuances, and it's a game where if you don't execute, more times than not, you have to pay the price. Now, if Maddux lays the bunt down and they move along Girardi, it's a 2-run lead. But by not doing that, suddenly you find yourself needing something to happen to get this run home. And with that in mind, Lou Piniella's coming out. That's going to be it for Burtzis. It's going to be Rick Mahler in a flip-flop batting order for Lou Piniella.
Piniella going to have to check in with the umpire. He forgets about that coming over to the National League, but he gets it squared away. 2 down, a runner at third base will pause. The Cubs leading 5-4.
Luis Quinones comes in to play second base. He'll hit in the 9th spot for Lou Piniella. Rick Mahler will occupy the number 7th spot vacated by Ron Oster. Mahler comes into the ball game at 1-0. The ERA 4.58 on for the 6th time. 3 of those starts. 17 2/3 innings. He's given up 9 earned runs on 1 homer. Walk 4, fan 6. His best pitch, probably an overhand breaking ball. His fastball not overpowering. He made 31 starts last year for the Reds.
And he'll face Sandberg with a runner at third base. The pitch. Breaking ball away. 1-0 Rhino. 1 for 2. 2-run home run in the first. Line to deep left center field in the second. Was intentionally walked in the fourth. Girardi 90 feet away from the 6th run. And the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. Mailer, a guy who gives up a lot of base hits.
Last year he did for the Reds what he's done for so many other clubs before that. Pitched 200+ innings.
And I think he's done that for like 8 or 9 seasons in a row now. Came over from Atlanta as a free agent prior to the 1989 season. And his 9-13 record was much better than those numbers would indicate. The Reds didn't score any runs when he started, but now he's on in relief. 2-1 pitch. Going to be a tough play. And Mailer did not get him at first base. Base hit for Rhino.
The bad break on the part of the Cubs was the fact that Rhino did not hit this ball hard enough for Joe Girardi to score. The play was right in front of Girardi. A big argument at first base with Piniella arguing with John McSherry. It appeared that Sandberg was safe. It looked like a very good call. Reed comes out. He can't make the play. Mailer does. And Sandberg at least tied the throw. So that's a good call.
And Lou Piniella really giving John McSherry an earful. Piniella is a guy who is known for his temper, but has not displayed it in a Cincinnati Reds uniform yet, at least not until right now.
Well, he'll find if this keeps up that they will give him the heave-ho equally as quickly in the National League as they did in the American League. So far, it looks like things calming down. And we'll watch it one more time. Mailer making a good play. Girardi only a third of the way down the line. Let's watch Lou Piniella leap out of the dugout as soon as the call is made. Lou never moved that fast when he was playing. I remember Lou. I pitched against him. He couldn't steal a base if they gave him a lead halfway. But he's quick now.
There goes Sandberg, breaking ball, and Reed won't even let it go. Boy, that was a great shot. Arnie Harris and our crew here in Cincinnati, wonderful work. That was terrific.
And now Lou is coming out. He wants to settle down Rick Mailer. The only way Girardi could have scored on that play, and of course it's hindsight now, and that's always 20/20, was to come down the line with the play as soon as Mailer turned away from him. If he'd have come home, he'd have beaten it. But that's great anticipation from a man who is a great base runner. Joe Girardi is not a great base runner at this point, so you can't really look at that and say he should have scored.
Mark Grace had a chance with the bases loaded in the 4th, but Burtz has struck him out. Here he has runners at 2nd and 3rd and 2 down. And that hit him. Whoa. Well, that is scary when it gets up around your head. Mark appears to be shaken up, but okay. Didn't appear to be a fastball.
He runs it inside. And it gets a piece of Mark Grace. That's the 2nd hit batsman of the year for Rick Mailer. And I don't believe that he was trying to throw at him, knowing how hot Andre Dawson has been for the last couple of weeks.
Well, here comes Andre Dawson, 2 for 3. A solo home run in the 1st. And after a fly ball to center field, he singled and stole a base in the 5th, but was stranded at 3rd. Bases are loaded. And Reed had to knock that one down, 1-0.
Mailer has thrown one wild pitch this year, and that's what Dawson wants. Get behind on the breaking ball and have to come to him with a high fastball.
1-0 delivery. And he popped it up. Todd Benzinger in fair territory makes the catch. And for the 2nd time tonight, the Cubs have left them loaded. No runs, 2 hits, 3 left. Middle of the 6th. The Cubs lead 5-4. Bottom of the 6th inning we go. Jeff Reed leads it off. And White Smith in left field hauls it in 1 away.
Louis Quinones inserted in the 9th spot in the flip-flop batting order steps up. He had 244 for the Reds last year with 4 home runs, 12 RBIs. He's not getting a whole lot of work. Only 19 at-bats this year.
Pitch taken, a strike.
Check that. He had 12 home runs last year with 34 RBIs.
Waves through that one, and Maddux jumps ahead. No balls, 2 strikes. Quinones at .263 batter. Has driven in 6 runs on the year. Greg Maddux. Not his best stuff by any means tonight, but he's certainly the kind of pitcher that can win without it. He'll take care of Quinones. 2 up and 2 down quickly in the 6th.
One word that keeps coming up every time you hear about Greg Maddux is the fact that he's a battler, and he's going to have to battle tonight. He's facing a red-hot lineup, and he doesn't have the great stuff, as illustrated by the fact that he only had 1 strikeout until fanning the last 2 in the 5th inning.
Chris Sabo 1 for 3. Doubled home a run his last trip in the 5th inning. Sabo ranks among the National League leaders in 11 offensive departments. The pitch. High, ball 1.
Sabo said that he was turning on his front foot and opening up too much, and Tony Perez and Lou Piniella picked that out. He was hitting on his heels. Now they have him on a raised front foot, and he keeps that foot in there.
Well, if you take a look at his front foot as he steps back in the box, you'll see him lift his toe up a little bit to make sure his weight is on his toe rather than his heels.
And that's what he says enables him now with a closed stance to generate a little more power.
This will reach the seats, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes on Sabo.
It was a relative down year for him, hitting just .260 last year. He felt he was a better hitter than that. And by pulling off everything because of spinning on the heel and being back on his heels when he approached the ball, he just wasn't getting out of himself what he thought he should. And it's funny, just a little thing like that, changing the weight from the heels to the front of the foot, makes all the difference in the world if you look at his start.
It's just that little movement in the left foot that reminds him to keep on his toe down the right field line. And a fan got a hand on it. Sabo, the guy Pete Rose nicknamed Spuds McKenzie.
When he takes off that helmet with those glasses, he might look a little like Spuds. There it is. The great foot shot here in Cincinnati.
The agony of defeat. I'm starting to pick up you and Arnie's traits now. 1-2 delivery. And it evens up. 2s are wild with nobody on here in the 6th. Sabo was an outstanding hockey player.
He was a goalie. Looks like he's still got his glasses from those days.
Hit well, but Walton is there. Over toward his left and hauls it in. That's the inning. 1-2-3 for Maddux. Harry Carey's coming up in the 7th. After 6, Cubs 5, Reds 4.
A participating advertiser in Cubs baseball is your Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana Better Buick dealers.
Hello again, everybody. With Tom Brennaman to Steve Stone, Harry Carey. Back from Cincinnati, Dwight Smith leads off. Pitches in there, a strike call. And he quickly is in the hole. 0-2. Fastball high. Smitty's had a tough day. He walked his first time against Scudder and then struck out twice against Burtzes. There's a pitch, low ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Harry, how about that report out of New York about Dave Winfield and the trade with the California Angels? Winfield
I didn't hear
says
it. What happened?
Well, supposedly Winfield's supposed to be traded to California for Mike Witt. Only Whitfield says he won't okay the trade to the Angels.
Ball 3, outside, a curveball.
If he does have veto power, that's a big deal that the Yankees can't make that they certainly would like to for a pitcher.
He swings, fouls it off. 3 balls, 2 strikes. I thought everybody wanted to play in California.
Apparently everybody but Dave Winfield.
You don't think he's kind of rubbing it into George Steinbrenner, do you?
There wouldn't be any of that involved.
A bouncing ball, easy out, Quinones. He went away. Boy, oh boy, the chances the Cubs have let slip away. They have stranded 7 men in the last 3 innings. Twice they had the bases loaded. Each time they've led off with hits in the inning, but haven't scored since the first.
The relief has been brilliant. 5 innings out of Tim Burtis, and now Rick Mailer on for him.
Wilkerson takes high. 1 ball, no strikes. A little soft tapper. Nothing to it. Easy out. And that will bring up Sean Dunston. He's 2 out of 3.
Lou Piniella, the man that most people credit with instilling a new attitude in his ball club. Players figure that there's a lot less pressure on him this year. And Lou Piniella has turned everything around here. This ball club off to a great start.
2 men are out. There's a high pop fly. That'll end the inning. Barry Larkin. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the 7th. Cubs still lead 5-4. There's Margie Schott, the owner of the Reds, talking with movie star Gregory Hines. We go in the bottom of the 7th. They have all the good hitters coming up. Herm Winningham with 2 out of 3.
It would appear that Don Zimmer is not going to be all that patient with Greg Maddux. He's got Paul Ossenmacher loosening up already. And Doug DeCenzo ready to go in a flip-flop batting order if Maddux has some problems. The pitches are piling up on Maddux, who has surrendered 9 hits. Doesn't have his great stuff tonight, but he's really battled the Reds.
He fouls it back, and he had a good pitch to hit. Whittingham was a little unhappy with himself. You notice the way he kind of flipped the bat around. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bottom of the 7th, 5-4 Cubs. Wilkerson should throw him out, and does. 1 away. And here is Barry Larkin. You know, Greg Maddux hasn't even had 3 full years in the major league. If he wins this game, he will have already won 50 games in the major league. He's won 37 the last 2 years alone. Larkin took a strike call.
A lot of people don't realize that only 2 pitchers in all the major leagues have won more the last 2 years than Maddux. Dave Stewart with 42 wins and Orel Hershiser with 38.
There's a ground ball foul. 0-2 the count. Bottom of the 7th. Good crowd on hand, but a long way from a sellout. Bouncing ball. Sandberg over to first. And that for Sandberg is the 550th chance in a row without an error.
Rhinos played 41 games here at Riverfront Stadium. He made an error only in his first game that he ever played here. He's been flawless since.
Todd Bensinger with 1 home run. Joe Oliver, who was hurt earlier in the game, the x-rays taken of his knuckle were negative. He has a contusion on his right knuckle. I imagine he'll miss a few days.
He got hit pretty hard. I'm sure it's swollen and puffy, but fortunately nothing broken.
He swings and he misses a breaking ball.
The Reds getting some good news in the pitching department. Danny Jackson, who took a line drive off his pitching elbow early in this season, will throw in a rehab at AAA Nashville on Sunday. So they're expecting to have him back in the not too distant future.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And Girardi wants to talk to Greg Maddux. Would you like to have a mic? What did he say? I'd like to have read the lips a little better.
Well, he went out and said this man has a couple of hits on you. Don't leave a fastball out over the plate.
One ball, 2 strikes. High inside fastball.
Or he might have said, remember the pitch that went to Mark Grace up and in. This might be a good time to use it.
You don't have to remind Maddux of that. He likes to do that. Ground ball to shortstop. Dunston. 1, 2, 3, nothing across. At the end of 7. 5-4. Cubs. Carey back in the ballpark. The first pitch, Girardi bounces out to Larkin. Girardi led off the 6th with a double, but could not score. Grace led off the 3rd with a double, could not score. Dunston and Girardi led off the 4th with base hits, nobody out, could not score. Dawson led off the 5th with a base hit and stole 2nd, but couldn't score. Here's Maddux, 0 for 3. That evens the count. Mailer, 39-year-old right-hander. There's a fastball in there.
When Danny Jackson does come back to the starting rotation, the Reds will have one of the most valuable of all commodities to trade, and that's a starting pitcher, and it could be the man you're looking at, Rick Mailer.
Struck him out. A fastball over the outside corner. That's 6 in a row retired by Mailer. And the Reds, early inning relief has been outstanding. Burtz's held the Cubs without a run for 5 innings. And now Mailer. Here's Jerome Walton.
Mailer has been dependable over the years, if not spectacular. He usually throws over 200 innings.
Mailer out of Austin, Texas. Started with Atlanta in 79. Curve outside. 2 balls and a strike. His biggest year in the big leagues, he won 17 at 85. 3 balls and a strike. Ball 4. And here's Sandberg. There's Mitch Williams starting to warm up in the bullpen.
And there's Rob Dibble. The ominous presence of Rob Dibble. What a bullpen the Reds have, with Dibble leading the parade with about 98-mile-an-hour bullets.
Oh, that wave, that's my pet peeve about baseball.
I can't stand it either, and I don't think Arnie likes it one bit.
2 out, a runner at first. A little bit high. Come on, Rhino. He homered to start the ball game with Walton on base in the first. His 5th homer of the year. Safe.
You're going to get a run. You want to get it off Mailer. Dibble in 12 appearances has not given up a run yet. He has a 0.00 earned run average.
1 ball, no strikes. Two balls, no strike.
Here's the whopping statistic that jumps out at you. 29 strikeouts in just 16 2/3 innings for Rob Dibble.
Boy, they got some heat in their bullpen. There goes a runner, another stolen base. Oh, safe. He was going to call him out. Boy, that would have precipitated another tremendous argument. But the throw was not held anyhow.
Charlie Williams had the arm up. Jerome Walton swipes base number 6. Now watch the arm of Williams. As the ball disappears, Williams calls out. Then he realizes the ball is not in the glove of Quinones. That's a good break for the Cubs. Walton dead to rights, but he slides hard enough, and I think it's going to go as an error on Quinones. It's a caught stealing and an E4 on Quinones.
3 balls, no strike. He walked him. And here's Grace. He was hit by a pitch ball by Mailer last time. Fanned against Burtis in the 4th. Double against Burtis in the 3rd.
I got to believe that Mark Grace is going to face Rob Dibble. I don't think that Lou Piniella is going to let this one get out of reach by letting Mailer face Grace. Let's see if Reed is just out on the mound killing some time before Piniella comes out. He wants to make sure Dibble is nice and ready.
And here comes Piniella. And Grace is going to have to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Unless they bring in the left-hander, not Dibble. And they are going to bring in the left-hander, Charlton. We'll be back following this message. Norm Charlton is going to be the new pitcher. He's only struck out 28 men in 17 innings of relief.
Charlton comes in at 1-0. The ERA 3.12, on for the 13th time. He's walked 13 men, however, in 17 1/3 innings, so perhaps the control hasn't quite been there. Last year, in 69 appearances, Charlton fashioned a 2.93 ERA and was 8-3 for the Reds.
Runners at first and second. Worlds, no play. There's Charlie Williams, the second base umpire. Ground ball to the shortstop will end the inning. Charlton's first pitch is hit on the ground. 2 more men are left on. We go in the bottom of the 8th. Cubs still leading 5-4. Paul O'Neill hits the first pitch sharply to right for a base hit. So the tying run is on.
Paul O'Neill with a couple of hits gets a low fastball and drives it into right field. Mitch Williams loosening up, and with a right-hander up, Don Zimmer will probably let Maddux face Hatcher.
He has struck out Hatcher twice, but the other time Hatcher started a 3-run rally with a double to left. Line drive, double safe at first base. Boy, oh boy, Zimmer's going to argue about that. John McSherry. Let's see that play again, Arnie.
Looked like Paul O'Neill hurt himself on the line drive. Grace got his feet tied up, but it looked like Sandberg got the throw there in time. O'Neill's still down. He might have jammed his hand or something. And we'll watch it one more time. He goes back with the left hand. He's out by plenty.
A foot. Holy cow.
John has not had a very good night at first base. Lou Piniella most upset, but this one was obvious. He was out by plenty coming back to the bat.
Well, John McSherry, all I can tell you, if you look at the replay, you're going to have to change your mind about the call, but it'll be much too late. Watch this play again. Here it is in slow motion. Look at it. Now watch this. Look where his hand is. Can you imagine that?
Ken Griffey is coming out to pinch hit. Griffey hitting .308, 2 for 6 with 2 RBIs as a pinch hitter.
And here comes Don Zimmer back. I think Mitch Williams is going to be brought in here. You know, it's amazing. Well, I guess the umpire figures I'd be showing myself up if I let a guy 90 feet away call a play which is right in front of me. And that's why he wouldn't appeal to the plate umpire.
Well, that's going to be it for Greg Maddux. He comes out of this one going 7 1/3 innings, giving up 10 hits. And the thing that kept him in this ball game this long was the fact that he didn't walk anybody. The Reds pounded away. He got tough starting from the 5th inning on, yielding only 2 base hits. But now it falls to Mitch Williams. Watch it one more time, and then we're going to take a look at Don Zimmer telling John McSherry how far out Paul O'Neill was.
Well, it wasn't quite that much, Jim. But it was out by at least 2 feet. Mitch Williams will be the relief pitcher. Ryne Sandberg, by catching that line drive, has now handled 551 consecutive chances without an error in 117 straight games.
Mitch Williams comes on 0-2. The ERA 1.13, on for the 13th time, looking for save number 7. He's trying to nail down the 5th win for Greg Maddux. 16 innings, giving up only 8 hits, 2 earned runs on 1 homer. He's walked 10. He's fanned 15. And they're going to go with Ken Griffey.
And Griffey, 40-year-old veteran, whose 20-year-old son, Ken Griffey Jr., is an outstanding player in the American League for Seattle. Boy, oh boy, that double play sure would have helped. But what are you going to do? Griffey. Is hitting .306. No homers, 4 RBI. Throw over to first, runner back. Griffey's batting for Rick Mailer, or rather for. There's the pitch inside for Norm Charlton, who replaced Rick Mailer.
O'Neill has 5 stolen bases this year. He's been caught twice. With the move of Mitch Williams, though, I don't know how adventuresome he's going to be at first base.
1 ball, no strikes. Base hit in the left field. And the time And winning runs are on base. Griffey single to left.
Joe Oliver started this game, had to leave when he was hit by a foul tip. So that means that the only catcher for the Reds, Jeff Reed, will have to hit from the left side against Mitch Williams. And the Cubs get their bullpen up.
Les Lancaster, who pitched day before yesterday.
5 innings in a starting role. This is kind of unique.
Runners first and second.
O'Neill has seen that spin move before, and he was very close to the bag at second.
Swung and a miss. Jeff Reed from Joliet, Illinois. Now lives in Elizabethton, Tennessee. He's ahead of him now, 0-2. Houston batting the ninth, trails Pittsburgh 4-3. Fouled it out of play. Reed will be 28 years old in November. Started the Minnesota chain, then played in Montreal, now with the Reds. He ducks out of the way. One out, 2 men on. Cubs lead 5-4. 2-2. Ball 3. After being ahead 2 strikes and nothing, he's down to 3-2. And Louis Quinones will be next. A switch hitter. Can you believe that? Way ahead of him, 0-2. Winds up walking him. And Reed is hitting exactly 111 for the year going into the ballgame. Quinones batting for the second time. Swings and he misses.
Infield at double play depth. They set at the corners. And if you get a ball at third or first, you got to come home with it.
Out of play above us into the stand. He's ahead of him also, 0-2. And Chris Sabo waiting on deck. He's the next hitter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Cubs lead, but the bases are loaded. 2-2. Swings and he fouls it back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Les Lancaster working in the bullpen. had the hitter 0-2. He walked Reed. Now it's 3-2 on Quinones. A high pop fly. Dunston calling for. He makes the catch. 2 gone. Quinones popped to Dunston in short left. And that will bring up Chris Zabel, who's 1 out of 4.
Nothing for Paul O'Neill to do on that ball. Didn't go far enough. Infield fly rule. Dunston made the catch easily. And the Cubs 1 out away from getting out of this mess.
Zabel doubled in a run in the 4th. Strike called over the outside corner. Dawson playing him rather shallow and right.
Lou Piniella screaming at Mark Hirschbeck behind the plate.
1 strike to nothing. A high pop fly. Wilkerson near the stands, out of play. You think managing's easy? That man lives and dies 1,000 times every night. And so does the other man in the other dugout. 0-2. Fastball. Outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pittsburgh beat Houston 4-3. Again, he had a good cut but fouls it back. Jose Martinez trying to move Dwight Smith towards left center.
He doesn't figure Sabo to get around on Mitch Williams' fastball. He's moving him into the gap.
Whoa, almost threw it away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bases loaded. Cubs lead by 1. 5-4. Line drive. But nobody can get this one. 1 run in. 2 runs in. 3 runs in. Sabo doubles to center. Clearing the bases.
4th RBIs of the night for Chris Sabo, giving him 19. They moved over Smith, but they didn't think that he'd hit the ball that far in the gap. Walton playing straight away and shallow as the ball rifled to left center field.
And the Reds now lead 7-5. Nice play. Sandberg throws him out. Sandberg makes a great play on Winningham smash, but 3 runs, 3 hits, 1 man left. At the end of 8, the Reds lead 7-5. Carey back in Cincinnati. And this is Rob Dibble on the mound, going for his 5th save. Fastball is high. He throws it over 100 miles an hour.
6'4", 235. And he usually gets mighty pumped up coming into these games.
Strike ball. The line drive double play, which was missed by the umpire, John McSherry, can be pointed to now as costing you the ball game. Fouls it back out of play.
Andre Dawson, one of the few Cubs that can tune it up, get around on the fastball at Dibble, who's on for the 13th time. 29 strikeouts in 16 2/3 innings.
Dawson with a count of 1-2. Ground base hit, maybe. It is. Sort of a half swing, and he singled to center. And that will bring up Dwight Smith.
Andre Dawson drives the ball back through the middle. That's a good start to the ninth. And now a meeting at the mound with Jeff Reed and Rob Dibble. Looks like Randy Myers up and throwing in the bullpen. So we might see the threesome tonight. Charlton, for third of an inning, stands to win this game if the Reds can nail it down. And the trio of Charlton, Dibble, and Myers, very formidable out of that bullpen.
Boy, oh boy, the inability to get Jeff Reed. There's another hit, and Smith singles the center. Runners on now at first and second. And here comes Curtis Wilkerson. So Dibble has been greeted with 2 base hits. Not exactly line drives, but they're hits.
They look pretty good with 2 men on and nobody out.
Sean Dunston would be next. They're expecting Wilkerson to bunt. Had a good cut.
Wilson and Ostenbacher, 2 left-handers throwing in the bullpen for the Cubs. Pretty good speed on the bases for the Cubs.
Wilkerson, nothing out of 3, hasn't had the ball out of the infield tonight. Double play ball. Quinones out at second. Out at second. 4-6-3. That puts it up to Dawson. Perfect double play ball.
The one thing you couldn't afford was the double play. The Reds don't turn a lot of them. They're last in the National League in this department. But Larkin comes across. Smith can't get a piece of him, and they turn 2. Pushed off the bag, got out of the way of Dwight Smith, and turned it.
Well, if Dawson connects with that fastball, he'll tie it up. Fouled it out of play. The Cubs got 5 in the first and nothing but goose eggs since. Easy ground ball. This game is over. Bensinger unassisted. So the Cincinnati Reds come storming from behind to beat the Chicago Cubs 7-5. Norm Charlton, who made 1 pitch, turns out to be the winner. We'll be back with the totals in a moment. The Budweiser playing the game with the bases loaded, 2 out. Cubs leading 5-4. Chris Sabo lines a double to the center field wall. All 3 runners score and turned a possible 5-4 Cincinnati defeat into a 7-5 victory. The Budweiser play of the game. Here are the totals. For the victorious Reds, 7 runs, 12 hits, 2 errors. Norm Charlton, who made 1 pitch, the winner. He's now won 2 and lost none. Rob Dibble the save, his 5th of the year for the Cubs, who scored all 5 of the runs in the very first inning and squandered numerous chances to add in later innings. 5 runs for the Cubs, 12 hits, no errors. The losing pitcher, Mitch Williams, he now has won none and lost 3. With Tom Brenneman and Steve Stone, this is Harry Carey from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, where the Reds came from behind to beat the Cubs 7-5. So long, everybody. Stay tuned now for the news, which will follow immediately. Cubs baseball is produced and directed by Arnie Harris. Our coordinating producer is Bill Borson. The final score, the Cincinnati Reds 7, the Chicago Cubs 5. Our next telecast will be tomorrow night when the Cubs take on the Reds at 6 p.m. Chicago time here on Channel 9. Harry Carey from Cincinnati. So long, everybody.